This is Miami All Access.
Eric, first part of the second half, I mean, they didn't score for like almost the first half of the second half. Then all of a sudden down the stretch, they started putting it in. Was that just a case of you not going to keep a good team down that long, or what was going on there?
I think we made some mental breakdowns when we didn't need to. It wasn't nothing that we didn't know that they were going to do. You know, they made some tough shots. I know they made some tough shots. We went 1-3-1 zone, and they swung around a couple times, and we just had a hand contest, and he hit a big three. Zach Denny, they broke the press again a couple times, and we just didn't, communicate on our matchups, and they broke us down. I mean, yeah, that's what a good team's going to do, so we just have to be better on communication on our part.
Is that a case then that once they get those first couple shots, just like you guys have done in games this year, then the confidence starts going and they just, I guess it's a momentum thing, isn't it?
Yes, sir. They're a good team. They're not first for no reason. Anytime you see some life or you get some life, it's snowball. We're a team that everybody will know who does that. So I mean, they're a good team. Once they start hitting some shots, they start getting some confidence. We're struggling on the offensive end. They're playing some good D. That's how it works sometimes. I can't really say too much about that.
Was there anything in particular that you noticed that was different between this time and the last time you played them?
No, other than they played a little bit hungrier. Obviously we beat them on their wood last time, so they're coming up with a little edge, and I think it showed a little bit today. On those 50-50 balls, crashing the glass. They was doing everything hard, even on their cuts and stuff like that. I mean, they just wanted it a little more today. I think we took them for granted. It wasn't nothing no individual talent did. It was just really just mano a mano. You just gotta be tough, and they were a little bit more tougher than us today, and that's what.
How difficult was it driving into the middle? You're used to going in there, but I believe in the second half, 2 for 4 at the line. Miami wasn't able to get to the line very much. How difficult was it when you would drive inside?
I think they played good help defense. They helped off on the guys who weren't shooters, and the guys that were shooters they glued on. So I commend them for that. It's always tough when you got a shot blocker like Holmes. He's always back there just coming at shots. So that's in the back of our head, but. That doesn't take. We don't want to take nothing away from them, but we should have been more aggressive on attacking them, especially when we got in the double bonus at the end of the game. Usually we're able to, take advantage of that when we get in a double bonus with teams, but not today. We didn't. So I think that's what kind of factored our loss today.
Eric, what can you say about Denny? He hit a couple of clutch shots there. I don't know what kind of ball player he is, or.
I mean, we knew coming in that he was a solid ball player. With his feet set, he definitely can hit the shot. And that's what he did today. He wasn't really, I wouldn't say going out and doing anything off the dribble like that, but he knocked down the shots when he needed them. That's what good players do. And we have to do better at making guys do something they're not good at doing. And today he hit shots with his feet set, and, that's what he does. So.
Did Coach Cooper have anything to say turnover-wise after the game?
Yeah, we shouldn't have had that many turnovers. They weren't really pressuring us like that. We just have to take advantage. Not take advantage, take care of the ball. Obviously, I don't know how many turnovers we had. I think we had about 17. Yeah, you can't have that, especially when they have 10. That's 7 more possessions they have than us. So, we just got to get better. Hopefully this humbles this group.
You had the streak going, and they edged you this time. Do you think that'll take out any confidence or momentum away, or you're just still feel?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say. Different guys react to losses different ways, but I know me and Sully being leaders of this team, it's a new day. We got Akron on Tuesday, short turnaround. We can't hang our heads. We still got two more tough games. This league is very open right now. We wish we could have had this one, but everything happens for a reason. you know. So we just go with the punches and keep it moving.
Coach said last week you were a little banged up, or you went from Tuesday to Saturday. Did you get a chance to get a little healthy, or?
Yes, sir. I mean, they put me on a good rehab regimen, so you know, I'm not really focused on that right now. You know, it's the thick of things right now. Every game is big, so I'm not really focused on being hurt right now. You know, it's a part of the game.
First of all, kudos to BG, showing the character that they showed down the stretch. I think they were down 11 with about 8 to go, somewhere in there, and not folding their tents and hanging in there. And then, of course, they found a way to win. I thought, you know, in respect to our group, I thought the turnovers obviously created an issue for us. And, you know, we only got to the foul line 11 times. I didn't think we did a good enough job of pushing the issue when, you know, we were in the bonus for long stretches of the game. And then, of course, we couldn't handle them there, I thought, down the stretch. I thought Parker was terrific down the stretch for them. And then, of course, Zach Denny steps up and hits 2 big threes. And so, you know, throughout the course of the game, I just felt like we just couldn't quite get where we wanted to be offensively. And, of course, Sullivan really struggled tonight. But, you know, that's a group that came in and a group that's won a lot of road games and really is pretty doggone impressive. And, you know, as I said it before when we played them the first time, as you sit and watch them, I don't know, and I say this in all due respect, out of the highest honor, and I don't know when you watch them if they do anything specifically that blows you away, but what they do is they play the game, and they hang in there, and they execute, and they do things down the stretch. So from a coaching perspective, you can really appreciate it because it's the little things. And then, of course, you know, they've got Rashawn down there who's able to erase mistakes and is always a presence and a factor around the rim. And you have to always be, or I should say you have to recognize and always be cognizant of where he is on the floor. But you know, we just didn't quite get it done, and consequently, we weren't able to win that. And then, of course, they pretty much made their free throws down the stretch. Questions?
I was talking to Eric about this a little bit before. He was still taking it, you know, into the lane and driving the ball, and some of the other guys were too. I don't know if it was all Holmes, but it was kind of difficult compared to the last few games as far as either getting a basket or getting to the line this time.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know what happens is, I mean, I thought there were times we got there. I mean, at 32 points in the paint, I don't know what that specifically means. It wasn't necessarily from post-ups, but obviously it's from driving opportunities or maybe a few buckets here and there in transition. But, you know, we were able to get there. But, you know, I still thought at times we settled, but he's there. Rashawn is there. And, you know, and what happens is a lot of times you may get in there and you're able to beat the first defender. Well, he's always lurking, and so you've got to be a good enough player as he comes over either to be able to make the adjustment and kick it down, or you've got to be able to throw it and pitch it out. You know, there were a couple times we drove and we got charges, or we drive and we travel, you know. So we just weren't able to really take advantage of being in the bonus situation, which, you know, I talk about it before, we talk about being able to score and having various ingredients and being able to do that. And for us, that was one of them. And if you take a look at us, and typically what we've been able to do is that we're going to make some free throws, we're getting to the free throw line, and then we're limiting our turnovers. Well, when you have 17 turnovers at home and the opposing team has 10, and they get to the foul line 12 more times than you, they imposed their will on the game more than we did.
Were they doing anything differently to create the turnovers? You guys been on a pretty nice run turnover-wise lately.
Well, no, I don't think it was something, you know, per se that they were pressing us or doing something like that. But, I thought at times, it was carelessness in many ways. And now let me take that back a step. You have to credit their defense because they're not just out there. They're out there, they're playing, and they're defending, and they did a good job of, getting us when we're driving down, stepping over, being there, ready to take the charge. A couple times we just don't make good passes. And like I said earlier, we drive and we travel a couple times, jump stop, feet slide out from under us. Those are possessions that, you can't get back. They weren't live balls, but they were certainly possessions that affected us. Even the one late there in the game, we get the ball to Chris right there in front of the rim, and he's got to score, and they strip it and get it. And so, I think it was a, 2 or 3 point game at that time, so an opportunity to cut it. And those things, you're down that late in the game, but that changes the whole complexity of the game, because if you score there, now you can defend or whatever you have to do, and if you end up fouling, they can't get away from you. It's still a one-possession game, but, we don't even score right there, and I think we're about 2 feet from the rim.
Coach John Wagner from the Toledo Blade.
Hey, John.
Will you talk a little bit about, and I know you've talked about it a little bit already, their offense in those final 10 minutes, and especially if you would kind of contrast to what you saw in the first 10 minutes. I mean, long story short, they looked discombobulated early and suddenly caught fire at the end.
It's funny, John. I didn't think we were playing particularly well either offensively. And I don't know. I can't speak for Chris and his group, but I thought there were stretches there that neither team really played well offensively. So it was one of those games. But I didn't realize it was a 9-minute 45 seconds or something like that they went without scoring a bucket, and they still won. So that's pretty impressive. I thought as the game got down in the last 10 minutes, and I don't know if it was a concerted effort, but I thought a couple of things is they were able to get downhill. Number one, they were also able to get the ball, within 5 feet of the rim. A couple times Parker, he's able to go through people and score and get a foul. And so I thought, as I said before, I thought they imposed their will in that aspect. And then, of course, we have a breakdown in our pressure, and for whatever reason we don't cover Zach, and he gets a wide open one. So now he's confident because the next one he hit wasn't as easy of a shot, but he's coming off of a little screen away. I think we switched it, but he caught it and let it go and knocked it in. And so we sort of opened up the floodgates. I mean, he had like 17 points, but from the perspective of catching that ball and shooting that ball with confidence at that time, I thought he took it on then. And then, of course, he made free throws down the stretch. But, you look at what Rashawn was able to bring. If you go to the first half, he had 4 offensive rebounds. But, he's getting offensive rebounds, and his offensive rebounds are putbacks. He's able to get an offensive rebound, stick back, or draw a foul. Now, you take a look at ours. We had 8 offensive rebounds, and I'm not sure. I don't remember. Maybe there was one, but our offensive rebounds aren't putbacks. Exactly. So there you go. And so what happens is that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on your defense. When Rashawn is able to create those kinds of plays and create those kinds of scoring opportunities. And let's face it, I mean, there's one time the ball goes into the post, we help down, he kicks it out, they missed the shot, but he's just flat wanted it more tougher and went and got the rebound down there on our end and scored. And those are the ones that really break you down. And you either got to, as a player, you either got to make a stand, and say, hey, I'm not letting you get this or whatever, or either you get stood. And that's exactly what happened.
Just one quick.
Sure.
When you said they were able to get downhill, you meant
driving the ball, get downhill. Yeah, down.
Get towards the basket.
Yeah, get towards the basket. I'm sorry. Yeah, they were able to get downhill in their penetration. We talk about going north and south and not east and west, and not necessarily that you go north and south and that creates a bucket. Well, but what it does is it puts your defense in peril because people have to be very cognizant of what's going on. Guys have to be ready to help. Guys have to be ready to slide or whatever it may be. And sometimes what happens is that then frees up offensive rebounding lanes for the opponent. And so, as you take a look at that, but also it contributes to their ability to be aggressive. And I thought that was probably the biggest difference, because I thought they you could say maybe they were on the ropes, and you can either decide to go one way or the other. But it speaks to the character, it speaks to the culture they have now that group didn't give in. And let's face it, being up 11 with 8 to go and losing doesn't feel very good. I can only imagine we've been able to do that a couple of times this year. And so you start with yourself and you take a look at the game. But I just thought, as weird as it sounds, I never felt like we got into a flow offensively. I don't know if they did. You would have to ask Chris, but obviously the last 10 minutes. But I don't know if they ever felt like they got into a great flow offensively. 62, 57 points. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a high-scoring game. I mean, they shoot 41% from the field. We're at 47. So it was just sort of one of those games that you tell me we're 47. I didn't necessarily feel that. But somehow we were.
I know you already addressed the overall numbers for the turnovers, but would you say, too, that given the momentum that they had, that the timing of some of those turnovers was pretty damaging? Oh,
no question. I mean, first of all, turnovers, John Chaney used to say, I like my guards like pound cake, plain. Don't do anything, and don't put any mustard on it. Don't put no icing on it. Be simple, be plain. Well, not that we were doing those things, but meaning just be solid with the ball. Be solid with the ball and understand the situations within the game. I thought there was a time when we got up and I felt like we were still rushing when we needed to be able to get good shots, make them have to defend. Sometimes, even though you're pressing and everything, the game is not always going to get up to the pace you want. But what happens is it allows you to have a quick spurt here, spurt there, and we were able to do that. And so now you're looking at an 11-point game. So now you're going down the stretch with the opportunity to take the game on and close out. And we weren't able to do that. I don't know what it was. I'll sit and I'll watch tape, but it's like you said, I thought there were some times when we turned the ball over, which were just not smart basketball plays and were not called for. I almost felt like some of the turnovers weren't necessarily forced. It was us forcing the issue and in turn turning it over. Jeez, I got a lot of turns and turnovers going there, don't I? Okay.
It could be like that.
Right.
If you don't get to the foul line all that much, I forget off the top of my head how you shot up there from distance, but you think it's a situation where you probably need more than three trays in a game?
Yeah, I mean, heck, we made 3, they made 3. I don't know if either team shot the ball really well. Sully obviously struggled from the field. The last game, Jared was able to come in and really give us a boost offensively up at their place, 14 points in 11 minutes. That was big. But, yeah, I mean, you can overcome the threes, because I thought at the end of the day, overall defensively, we were decent enough to survive. Now, you got to get to the foul line, and they did a good job of not fouling, but sometimes you got to take it on, but you got to take it on with smarts. You got to take it on understanding how are we going to do this, and we just didn't do that. And then too, I thought we had way too many unnecessary fouls, just too many. Guys driving and we're forearm checking and doing those things, or we get our hands on a kid out of perimeter. I didn't feel like we did a terrific job in that point.